that everything springs from or comes from. And so I don't even know how long I stood there. It could have been, you know, minutes. It seemed like quite a long time, an infinitely long period of time. And you know, after realizing that, that realization of all that didn't occur right at that moment, but I knew that I was looking at something incredibly huge, you know, and realizing that I wasn't any longer who I thought I was was much bigger.
So let me probe that experience a little bit, because some people listening to that might think, well, that doesn't sound so good. Everything disappeared. I mean,
it was so ordinary. That's the thing. It sounds like, oh my God.
Yeah, maybe
you know?
she had a stroke or something.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
A stroke of insight
Right.
with Jill Bolte
Jill
Taylor.
Bolte Taylor, right.
Yeah, very similar, because it's like it's undeniable that you are looking at pure knowledge, pure. It was consciousness.
Yeah,
basically.
but of course in Jill Bolte Taylor's case, she had brain damage and she lost the ability to function, and you're not saying that.
No, but it didn't feel like something was wrong. It wasn't scary. It was beautiful without the emotion of beauty. Absolutely ordinary, even though it sounds like, oh my God, mind blowing.
When you say everything disappeared, I mean, were you actually oblivious to cars going by and sun setting and birds singing and all that stuff? So it was just like
absolutely gone.
Just a big white emptiness or something? Or?
It of course was filled. I remember talking years ago about this, that it was filled with something. It wasn't empty, even though it looked like void. It was not void, it was full.
Were you aware of your body still?
No.
But you were still standing? Your body didn't fall down?
I'm assuming I was standing.
If George had come out and said, Mary, dinner's ready, would you have heard him?
I don't know. I don't know.
And so you don't really even know how long you stood there?
Yeah, but I was standing, and when everything kind of came back into my visual, all my senses,
right.
You know, kind of flipped back on, yeah, I was still standing
there.
there.
So I mean, the point to be made here is that this is some kind of gear shift that took place. It isn't necessarily a permanent thing, but it was a transitional point. Yes,
and but what it left with me has always stayed with me. And with that, George talked about this incredible silence. That is who you are. That has always remained with me.
Would you say that that's the essential, not remnant, but the essential element of that experience you had on the porch that has been retained, the silence?
Oh yeah, that's never left me.
Right.
And
more so than any other quality, it's just
that deep, incredible, infinite silence. Yeah.
Right.
And recognizing that that's who I am, and not only me, but everything. Rocks and sky and animals and
Walmart.
Everything.
Speaking of Walmart, do you find that the silence modulates according to the circumstances? If you're running through an airport trying to catch a connecting flight, is there less silence than if you're sitting in meditation or just walking through the forest?
That's a great question, because in the beginning there was like a foreground and background, where this was sometimes in the background, sometimes in the foreground, and with this has been several years ago, with more experiences and more knowledge with those experiences, it's become more always present in the foreground, always there,
regardless of the circumstances or whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the practical significance of this? I mean, personally I think that feeling wonderful inside is in itself a practical benefit, which if there were nothing more than that, great. But in terms of your shall we say relative life, what has the impact of this been?
For me, it's been a really, really strong connection with pretty much everything. I don't feel separate.
Is that and what, to put it in crass terms, what is that good for?
Well, for me, I think more than anything, there's a wonderful feeling of fulfillment. That it's different from accomplishment. It's different from satisfaction. So
it's not like the kind of fulfillment you get when you do a job well and you think, oh, I feel so good, or I got a new car, oh, I feel so good. It's something which is independent of losing things, gaining things, accomplishing things, failing at things, and so on.
Yeah, because that's it, because this underlies all of that.
Mhm.
It's always there, it doesn't change. What does change about it, of course, is the clarity George mentioned earlier.
The clarity fluctuates,
In the
Oh.
beginning, yes,
Oh.
it did.
but
you
now
know.
it doesn't.
No, it's always right there, right? Just always, apparent, always apparent.
And let's say, I don't know why I'm pursuing this line of questioning, but it's coming to mind.
Mhm.
Actually, before I do that, let me do another station ID. My name is Rick Archer, and you're listening to KRUU LP 100.1 FM, the voice of Fairfield, Iowa, and beyond. The show is Awakenings, and I'm talking to George and Mary Foster. So let's just say, for the sake of discussion, just to kind of put it to the test, thinking back over the last couple of months, let's say, the most trying, stressful thing that happened to you, maybe something with one of your daughters, or
Mhm.
something with money, or something that happened to you, what was it like going through that experience with this thing you've been talking about as a foundation?
One of my daughters had a child,
Mhm.
a second grandchild for me, and was present at birth.
Mhm.
And it was quite an experience. You know, it was a home delivery in water, and you know, even though all of this is going on, it's like I'm buoyant in this quality of stillness. It's always there. Nothing shakes it, nothing changes it, nothing rattles it, even though, you know, the pangs of labor are there, and vocalizations of that,
Right.
and scurrying around, get the hot water, do this,
Yeah.
do that, you know, it's all still there. It's just like you're riding on this beautiful cushion.
Mm.
It's always there.
And do you still experience the normal range of human emotions,
Oh yeah, yep.
both positive and negative?
Yeah, I can get angry. I'm not very volatile, but you know, yeah, I can feel anger, I can feel hurt,
Mhm.
I can feel shame, I can feel also love and exhilaration and happiness.
And so, let's say you're feeling angry. You can probably remember an instance when you got angry. How is that any different than it would be if this silence or inner wakefulness were not there?
Probably being overtaken by it, or you could say overshadowed.
Getting lost in it?
Yeah, you get lost in it and you just run this loop, you know, I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad. But
Right.
now it's like, it's almost laughable. You can get angry and realize that it's passing and it's there to serve some sort of purpose, and it just goes.
And it goes.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you're a clean slate again?
Yeah, pretty much.
George, you have any comments on what we've been talking about here?
Sure. Yeah, the overriding benefit of this is not so much about what shows up in the expressions of it, although it feels like it does. From the inside, it feels that way. But the happiness is unshakable. Sure, anger or whatever, name them, you know, frustrations or anything, pain, I mean, you know, anything, does not shake the happiness, which I think also makes and again, I remember days when, you know, years back, when anger would feel like that, and it would just take over, and you'd feel like, I am angry.
Mhm.
I don't feel that anymore. I don't.
You get angry, but you are not angry.
Right, right.
In
It's
other
like-
words, you are not the anger.
Well, I am the anger,
Okay.
which kind of makes it much more enjoyable. It's not that it takes over. It's not that it's just one more expression of myself,
Mhm.
and it's one more chance to experience. It's a wonderful, it's actually rather, really enjoyable.
Hey. Oh, were you about to say something?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
there's something I'd like to mention, is that George and I have had some of our experiences that have been night and day to each other. Some are very similar. Was disappearing, he had a similar experience at one